The NBA is also going to give us something that has given us before, but in a very different way this year, and that is, of course, the Hall of Fame enshrinement. Well, the class has been announced, and it features three of the biggest names of our era of basketball. We have, of course, Kobe Bryant, Tim Duncan, and Kevin Garnett going into a Hall of Fame class that includes some other people as well. Jalen, what do you think about this trio and the others that are going to be honored this year at Springfield?
The greatest class of all time. And I believe it's 1999, the class that featured Michael Jordan and David Robinson and Jerry Sloan, stands out in my mind also. Three people that have a lot in common, but they're really different in a lot of ways. Kobe Bryant is the remix to Michael Jordan. And he set out and told the world that his goal was to be the greatest player of all time. And when you see his interviews, how he walked, how he chewed his gum, the kicks that he rocked, everything mimicked MJ. And he got as close as anybody's going to ever do it. The late great had multiple iterations of his career. He had the period of time where he and Shaq won back-to-back-to-back championships, and the Diesel was finals MVP. Then he had to deal with the turbulence of the public that felt like he ran Shaq off because Shaq was more of a man of the people and more outgoing to everyone. And then Shaq won a championship in Miami before he did. And then Shaq, of course, teased him about it when he made a song and everything about it. So those last couple of championships, I know, because I've asked him this, meant more to him than the first three because he felt like he was that guy. And there's a Kobe Bryant record with Phil Jackson, and then there's one without him that isn't so good. But that's what happens when you play as long as he did, which leads me to the next guy, Tim Duncan, the model of consistency. Mm-hmm. He didn't have those ebbs and flows. 20 straight years, winning record, playoffs, 5 championships, got ushered in by David Robinson, somebody that was a big, showed him how to be a pro, showed him how to practice. They became their own version of the Twin Towers. Reinvented himself like no other all-time great player. And I'm not just talking about his attitude and his humility, and he didn't always thump his chest when he made a shot. It was, okay, gonna let Tony, Manu, Kawhi all eat. And when we start talking about super teams, for some reason they get left out because they were all drafted by the Spurs. They equate, if you ask me. And then lastly, the big ticket, getting drafted by Minnesota. I wanted him and Stephon Marbury to play together for 10 years.
Yep.
Like Kobe and Shaq. Imagine if that would have happened, Jacoby.
Penny and Shaq, Kobe and Shaq, Steph and the big ticket, of course.
You know what I'm saying?
And just take a second and look at these numbers that this trio amassed over their time in the NBA. Just look at that.
They got work to do. And the all-time greatness of Kobe Bryant and Tim Duncan puts them on the top, even if you're being conservative, top 10 list of all-time people to do it. For the big ticket, he went to Minnesota and was charged, unlike those other two guys, basically to be the best player in the face of the franchise. And so he had some terrific years. He leads Minnesota in all the major statistical categories, but ultimately he needed to leave Minnesota. He had some great chances with Spree and Sam Cassell. I remember those squads. Rest in peace to the late, great Malik Sealy running with Wally Zerbiak, but that couldn't get him there. And so he needed to go to Boston in order to achieve it. And lastly, what I would like to acknowledge, when you start trying to split hairs of greatness, when you're Kobe and you're playing for a storied franchise that won championships before you and had so many Hall of Famers, you have to live up to that standard. He did it and exceeded. Tim Duncan got drafted by a team that never won a championship, like MJ and the Bulls. They won all 5 after they drafted Tim Duncan. And for the big ticket, his original squad couldn't get it done. He needed to go to a storied franchise, team up with Ray Allen and Paul Pierce to actually get it done. And so all-time greatness is on display. I believe Macy Elwood, Christopher Webber should have been a part of this class as well. hopefully he gets inducted next time.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.